and how it affected this and that, and there's not a lot of people that really have true history of what it was like before the harbor. You do. Why don't you tell these guys a little bit about what do you believe, or maybe it didn't happen, maybe it did. What do you think the positive effects of the harbor on Orange County are, and then the not positive effects?
Well,
everybody always wants to look at the negative, Dad, and you know that. But why don't you tell us about the positive?
Well, I can tell you a little bit about.
You don't hear about positive too much.
You can hear about the negative really quick. Bruce Brown was a friend of mine who did Endless Summer, and quite a gentleman. Bruce has passed on to now, but he lived right above the harbor, and they started to build the harbor. I said, "Well, you excited, Bruce? Your property value is going to go way up." And he said, "No, we should go back to the way it was, but you can't stop progress." And so it happened. The harbor has done many things for many people. It's made our operation much safer, much safer than it was before. Made our bait operation much safer. We have bait all the time now with the Every Damn Bait Company. There's never a doubt there's going to be bait in the receivers. So that is a big relief for everybody's shoulders. Passengers can walk on off the boats, so you don't have to worry about jumping on and off from the pier. And the harbor, for the rest of the people of Orange County and anywhere else, is a beautiful place to come and visit. The negative side of the harbor is probably what's affected the beaches the most. And I don't know if you can blame that on the harbor, the construction of the harbor, the wave controls of what happened on the beaches. I've lived in Santa Clara all my life. I've seen the sand go and come, but here recently it's been mostly gone. But whether that came from what's going on inland, the sand's not coming down the creeks anymore like it used to because they're all concreted, not dirt or sand. I don't know. It's really hard to try to figure out, but the good side of the harbor is everybody gets to enjoy it, and it makes a great place for people to come visit.
Right. And so how do you think, you had a good time at the San Clemente Pier from 46, 47 until 71. Now you've been here in Dana Point for 50 years. You personally, you think back, what was the most enjoyable, coming to Dana Point or back on the days on the pier? For you personally, we're not talking about anybody else. You had great time at the pier.
I had a great time at the pier. We caught lots of different fish at the pier. We joked earlier in this conversation about paying off the jackpot with tomcod, but that was because the water got cold and we didn't know what we were talking about in those days. We didn't have any temperature gauges. We didn't stuck your finger in the tank, and if it came back purple, you knew the water was cold. We didn't know why it was cold or how come or where the current breaks were or anything. Not all the technology you have now. And I swear to God, with what I look at now and the electronics that boats carry, we used to have to line up a tree and a bush and something else to see where we were to find a spot to fish. Now you just push a button and drive to it. So it's technology has changed so much in those years. But that was the fun part about it off the pier. You never saw another boat all day. Now you see all the boats out of the harbor. You see the boats from Newport. You see the boats from Oceanside. But we used to fish all the way down the coast from Dana Point to Oceanside and not see another boat all day, which is not. It's very rare now. So if you find something, it was kind of yours. We found spots of bluefin tuna. We used to find lots and lots of yellowtail. Used to drive through the kelp looking for white sea bass. Just looking. If we found them, we stopped and caught one. But you could drive through the kelp, and those were fun days at the pier, believe me. But I haven't, I'm not on the boat every day like I was at the pier, so I don't know what they see here every day, day by day by day. But every day off the pier was another challenge. It really was, because we had to go find our bait boat and had to fall in the fog, and most of those days didn't have radar, so it was really fun in those days off the pier. Sometimes I drove around one piece of kelp all day long thinking I was going somewhere, but I wasn't. But it was fun. But no, there's been a lot of good things in the harbor too. As you know, you were here with us when we started, and we ran a lot of trips. I ran a lot of trips to San Clemente Island. Nobody has gone to San Clemente as much as my friend Dick Elgren did on Oceanside, but I got to know the island fairly well, and then I let you do it, and you really found the island. But
Hey, I got a good story that Bobby Lorman was telling me about, but he was bummed because he didn't get to be there. He had to go do something, but you took Kenny Nielsen and you took Chuck Kimnitz, and you guys went on a trip of a lifetime on the Clemente when it was brand new, the Cortez Bank. Why don't you talk a little bit? You were the guy. I just get these guys were all kids, so they remember what they remember, but you were the guy. You guys went to the Cortez Bank with a compass.
yeah, we
Right?
kind of figured this.
No
was
GPS, no Moran,
No.
a compass. Right?
Yeah.
What year was that?
I don't know, David.
65, I think, is what I was told by Kenny and Bobby.
I think that's what it was, but Bobby didn't know.
1965. No electronics, guys. 102 miles from the pier. Off the San Clemente Pier, going to the Cortez Bank on a boat that does 9 knots top speed. If you really cranked it up, it'd go 10.
It goes 10 now.
Woohoo!
So it was fun. We got all the way out there, and there's a lot of stories on that trip. We got on the bank. We found the bank.
Now, what kind of electronics did you have? Flasher, or did you have a photometer?
We had a photometer. My God, yes.
Paper graph?
No, called lead line. Yeah, no paper. No, we had a lead line. No, we had actually a paper graph, but there's a buoy out there, as you know, as you well know. So we found that area, and we found the buoy, and we found the high spot, and
That had to make you feel pretty good as the captain, because really, honest to God, guys, if you think about this. No electronics, a compass, and you're driving 100 miles out in the middle of the ocean, and you're looking for a buoy. How bitchin' was it? I'm just thinking, when the bottom started to come up on the foot, how much paper did you burn before you saw the bottom?
I have no idea, but
A lot, huh?
probably a roll or two. But anyway, we found the bottom. We found the spot. We got on the spot.
That had to make you feel good, though, when you started seeing the bottom come up, huh?
Yes. It was exciting to get out there, and because everybody was telling about how good it was out there, and it was good. We got there, and the yellowtail were thicker and thick, and the bottom fish were unbelievable. But Kenny and Burl Hancock was his name. They were free divers, and Kenny jumped over the side, and he didn't know what to do. He was going crazy down there because nothing but lobsters everywhere he looked. He couldn't decide whether he wanted to shoot a yellowtail, grab a lobster, or what to do. So he had a ball. But anyway, it was a fantastic
Can you
trip.
imagine if you're a diver thinking about that?
Fantastic trip out there. They got all. We're halfway through the trip. That's 102 miles out there. And Burl Hancock said, "Well, I have to be to work tomorrow." And I said, "How in the Almighty God did that happen? It takes us 2 days to get there, 2 days to get back." But anyway, we stayed there till just about dark, and then we headed home. And we did have radar, David.
Okay.
So we had the radar on, and I told him, "Well, Kenny, we'll stop at China, and we'll have dinner on the way in."
That's San Clemente Island, guys.
San Clemente Island and China Cove. And so we're along, leisurely running back in, and I have this gentleman driving the boat. I'm sleeping, or whatever I'm doing, and I wake up, and we've been gone. We should have been there. So we turn the radar on, and we can't find the island. So the old radar's only, those days was only 15, 18-mile radar. But so I thought, well, I'll just point it to the west. And we pointed up to the west, and we ran about another hour. We finally started seeing a bleep. We were headed for somewhere in Mexico. I don't know where we were headed for, but we'd still be out there. We finally got into Pyramid, and I told Kenny, light up the barbecue, because the Navy says, it's closed. But if the weather's bad or something, it's a safe refuge. And so we're idling in there. I've been enough times before I knew where I was going. But told Kenny, now, light the barbecue when we get in here. He must have dumped a gallon of kerosene or something in the barbecue, because he lit it up, the whole back of the boat looked like it was on fire. It didn't take the Navy but seconds to find us and come down and tell us we had to get out. But they let us stay there until we ate, and then we took off again. But the trip to Cortez is something you'll never ever forget. The stories get embellished a lot how good it really was, but it was good. There's no question about that. It was really fine.
And just thought process. You got your boat, the Clemente. It's brand new. It's the queen of the fleet. You just think one day you go, hey, we're going to do a fun trip and go to the Cortez Bank. That was kind of a big deal.
Sure.
I mean, to think of that back then.
Yeah.
I mean, guys, you freak out if your cell phone doesn't work for a split second. You're losing your mind. Can you imagine going on a boat 102 miles out in the middle of the ocean with zero electronics, a compass, and a radar that only you think might be working, but you're not even sure if it works? That's pretty spectacular. That's a pretty bitchin' move.
It was fun.
For a captain back then. I mean, come on, you gotta.
It was fun.
It's more than fun. That's kind of heroic. You had all those people. That's pretty bitchin'.